Hey guys, welcome back to GeekJ, where we make tech tutorials and gaming simpler and better. Today we're diving into the beautiful but demanding new world of Where Winds Meet. This game is visually stunning, but out of the box, its upscaling solutions can leave your game looking like a blurry, ghosting mess. But don't worry, I got you, fellow geeks. We're going to fix it and unlock this game's true visual potential by installing the incredible FSR4. First, let's get a baseline. We're launching DLSS-Swapper to see what upscaler versions the game shipped with. And yikes, as you can see, we're working with some seriously outdated binaries. DLSS is on version 3.10.1 on all of its components. Then we have FSR, and it's on 3.1.2. And XSS is also very outdated at the 2.0.0 kind of branch. So they are basically, in technology's terms, ancient. Game developers often ship games with older upscaling tech. And by manually updating them, we can often get significantly better image quality and performance than what's offered out of the box. We won't touch these just yet, so let's exit out of this. Okay, let's fire up the game and see these old upscalers in action. So let's go over the default display settings over here. I usually go with disabling VSync and motion blur, and then I go with unrestricted frame rates. We have super resolution type, it's close, which means it doesn't use an upscaler, but it does use the anti-aliasing solution they have, which is the typical, unfortunately, TAA slop. And then everything else is on ultra, and we have the real-time sunlight enabled, which I suppose is the ray tracing of the game, probably. So as you can see, the out-of-the-box experience is okay, but you can immediately see the issues. We have blurriness, shimmering, and some distraction pixelation, especially in motion. And I think it can showcase some pretty weird stuff happening. This is the default no upscaler TAA solution the game is giving us, so I think you will be able to see how bad this is. Around the character, you can see there is some kind of ghosting or halo. I don't know how to describe it. And it's very stuttery. We're in the open world. Not a lot of things are happening right now, so it's kind of okay, I guess. But you can see we're kind of all over the place in regards to FPS. So we'll get something about 80, and then we're gonna go up to 100, and then again back to 80. So these big drops, like 80, someone might tell you is a good number, but if you have a big drop, like it's not from 100 to, 95, but it's from 100 to 80 something, that's a big drop, and it's gonna translate on your screen as a stutter. So that's why this is, important, so we have a more stable experience. But as you can see, it's very stuttery, and when we move the character around, especially in fast movement, you can see that the character has some kind of halo sometimes, especially if we are over some tall grass as we are over here. It's getting weirder and weirder as we move the camera. But yeah, this is the no upscaler solution over here of the game with the in-game anti-aliasing enabled. And then let's showcase XeSS, and let's go with a natural, which basically translates to the native AA, but I don't know why they use the DLAA thingy. The translation in this game is kind of weird. Anyway, we are getting kind of the same FPS, and it's as stuttery as before, but let's say we're gonna use the standard for 1080p, and we're gonna go with quality for our testing over here. This is XeSS 2.0.0 something in quality mode. So you can see already we have some issues over here with the image. The grass is getting pixelated. The harp on my back, which has a lot of, strings over there, is very pixelated, and it has a weird effect when we are in movement, and it almost disappears when it's behind, a bright background. And yeah, the details of our character are kind of withering away. Everything else is kind of pixely, but it's not that shimmery. So let's try running around a little bit. You can see we do have some kind of halo around the character, and it's more obvious right now on XeSS and quality mode, but it wasn't that obvious when we were on native resolution with the TAA slop solution. So let's go with performance. It's performance and performance. So yeah, the localization and translation of this game is, it is what it is. Let's not talk about that. I've ranted enough about this. But yeah, this is XeSS 2.0.0 on performance, not ultra performance. Let's not push our luck over here. And yeah, it is upscaling from a very, very low resolution. We're getting about 100 FPS where we were getting about 80. So that's pretty good. But as you can see, we're still getting some frame drops over here. Other than that, it doesn't look too bad because, XeSS is doing a pretty good job, but it is very, very blurry. And it does cover up a few of the pixelation issues, and if we don't move the camera that much and there's not a lot of movement, we might be able to get, the sensation of a okay image, but I wouldn't play like this. But anyway, let's switch to the other solution of the game. We're gonna go with the built-in FSR solution, and it defaults to 70, which I think is quality, and then we're gonna go with, I think, 50, 45, which is performance. I don't really remember. Anyway, this is the quality solution. Does look very, very sharp if you compare with the default XeSS we're getting out of the box. It's a lot sharper. Let's try 100, see what that does. Yeah, at this angle, as you can see, the strings are completely gone. It's like they don't exist, even on native AA. And then let's go back to, I believe it was 70 if the UI cooperates with me. I think 75 is where quality is. 70, I'm not really sure. Anyway, let's try 75 here. Yeah, as you can see, the strings of the harp almost gone over here on the bright background, completely gone over there. The game does look okay. We have the 80 something FPS, like nothing ever changed for some reason. We could go with some lower quality, but as you can see, we don't have that bad of a haloing effect, if there is any at all, with FSR, but we do have a lot of shimmering. It's a lot sharper, so we get more pixelation. Let's go back into the settings, and we're gonna go with... Okay, let's go with the 40% over here. See how that looks. I think this is performance, I'm not really sure, but let's go with the worst case scenario over here. As you can see, very unstable. There is this weirdness around the character. It's not a halo even anymore, just a bunch of pixels. Yeah, a lot of the details are gone. And we are getting a boost in performance, but it's not that significant. So obviously, again, we're dealing with a game that is very, very unoptimized, unfortunately. And in some occasions, it runs really well. And in other occasions, you will just get like 20 FPS experiences, even with beast hardware. So don't blame the builds or your hardware and stuff. Let's go back into the game. We're gonna hit the display over here, and then I'm gonna go into close, whatever that means, and that is gonna be the native resolution of the game, as you can see again, and this is the TAA. And yeah, we do have that halo, but everything else is looking pretty good. The strings are not disappearing, they're fairly visible. And yeah, that's the performance we're getting out of the box with those upscalers. But anyway, as you guys saw, if we drop the settings below quality on my 1080p display, things get smeared with Vaseline, unfortunately, especially on FSR and XeSS. XeSS was a bigger problem, I think, with the Vaseline effect. The FSR was a bit sharper, but when we go into the performance mode stuff, that is kind of unacceptable. I would never play a game like that. Honestly, the best looking option right now is FSR native AA probably, or the TAA slop that the game offers. It really depends on what you can tolerate or not. The TAA for some reason has the worst ghosting and halos I've ever seen, and the XeSS natural option, which is, you know, the native AA, isn't much better. But unfortunately, this is what we have out of the box. So I'm gonna have some side-by-side comparisons with the stock FSR performance versus the stock FSR native AA, and the in-games TAA versus XeSS natural, and then I'm gonna put them side by side all together so you can see what we're dealing with here. But yeah, basically this is what we have to work with. But now it's time to fix it. So now let's run our favorite tool, DLSS-Swapper, again, and this time we're going to update everything. Go ahead and grab the latest versions for DLSS, FSR, and XeSS. Let's click on the game, and then I'm gonna go ahead and swap everything to the latest version. First with DLSS, then we're gonna do it with FSR, not that it really matters, and then we're gonna do it with XeSS. Then close and exit out of DLSS-Swapper. So now with our base files updated, it's time to bring in the big guns, OptiScaler, which will let us use FSR4. You can find the latest test build on the developers Discord, and I'll have a link for you, in the description below. But yeah, unfortunately, if we just drag and drop the modded FSR4 files into the games folder, it doesn't really work as intended. So we need to use OptiScaler for this one. So first of all, let's right click on the game, then go into manage and then browse local files. And then we will go into the engine folder, then binaries, and Win64R. And as you can see, if we scroll down, this is the folder that contains the actual exe of the game. But anyway, as you can see, we have AMD_Fidelity effects. And yeah, we did update the ones that were here, but as you can see, it's an older version. It's 3.1.4 again, and we only have the binaries for the Vulkan and DX12. And by the way, I did try Vulkan. It runs a lot worse than DirectX 12 on my system, and FSR4 only works with DirectX, so just go with DirectX if you want to follow this tutorial. You can see XeSS is also here, and we have, the latest version. We don't care about these, so just go into the folder where you've downloaded the latest OptiScaler, and as you can see, these are the contents of this file. And I'm gonna go with choosing some of these. Let's go with our favorites over here. And I'm gonna grab all these. So drag and drop all of these into your game directory. And then I'm gonna go into my FSR folder where I have the modded FSR files, and I'm gonna grab all of these and I'm gonna right click, copy, and then right click, paste. So hit refresh. And the next thing you wanna do is set up. And the next thing we wanna do is run the setup_windows.bat file. Let's go ahead and do that. So these FSR4 files are the modded int8 files. If you want to know how to get this working on an RDNA 2 GPU like mine, check out my previous video on that right up here, I think.
Hello?
So for this game, we're gonna choose the dxgi.dll option. But now, since I'm on an AMD card, I'm following these specific steps. If you're on Nvidia or Intel, select the options that correspond to your hardware. So yeah, I'm gonna go with number 1 over here and press enter. And then again, number 1 because I'm on AMD hardware. And then yes, I do want to use the DLSS input. So I'm gonna press 1 again and then press any key to continue. And we're basically done. One very important step, if you're doing this for the first time, just go into the DLSS overrides and double click on this enable signature override.reg file. It's a registry file and it's going to trick your system to not check if it has an actual Nvidia GPU or not. And this is how we're going to be able to select DLSS into the game. It doesn't mean that if you don't have Nvidia hardware, you're going to be able to run DLSS, but it means that you're going to be able to inject whatever upscaler you want through the DLSS DLL binary. But anyway, let's go into the game. So let's run the game to configure OptiScaler. As you can see on the bottom left of the screen, we got the little prompt. So that means it was installed correctly. You might get this GPU driver change detected and all that stuff. Don't really care about that. Just press resume on your game. And once you're loaded into the world, we need to set a few things up. So first of all, we need to go into the game's display settings. We're gonna go with disabling VSync and motion blur. And then over here for the super resolution sampling, we're gonna click on DLSS. And as you can see, we have natural, which for some reason is the DLA option, ultra, and then we get quality. Let's go with quality to do our tests. Now press insert on your keyboard. And if it appears pretty small, just like mine, just click over here on these little numbers and select 1. If you're on a 4040p monitor or 4K monitor, you're probably gonna want to set this even higher. But, you know, set it to a setting that you're comfortable with. So anyway, OptiScaler might look a little bit complex, but it's really easy once you get to know the options over here. So under upscaler, we're going to set it to FSR3.x. And we're going to click on this button that says change upscaler. Sometimes it might take a while for it to apply, especially on older hardware, so don't kill the process, just let it finish. Then right below here it says FFX settings, just make sure you're on FSR4.0.2, and if you're not, just set it with selecting it and then changing the upscaler. Below this there is the frame generation section. As you can see over here, we're going to set this to Nukem's DLSS-G. And don't worry about the FG output because it will auto set. Just leave it as is. And one last pro tip, in the FSR common settings over here, just untick the use FSR input values because the DLSS inputs are usually way better. Now we're gonna click save and close. If you don't click on the save INI and then you exit out of your game, you have to do all these settings all over again. So just save yourself some trouble and time and click on save INI before you hit close. And now we're just gonna restart the game. Once your game loads, just go back into your display settings, especially if you got that message again that the GPU drivers were reset or whatever. And then we have to go back into display, and then we're going to disable VSync and motion blur. I'm going to set this again to unrestricted. Scroll down, and then you can see we're back to close for upscaler, which means no upscaler. We're going to go back to DLSS, and it has reset everything, but you can see now we have access to Nvidia Reflex and the frame generation. So we're going to go with quality over here just to test everything in the same way. And I'm just going to enable reflex, but I'm not going to enable frame generation yet. So as you are back into the game right now, just hit insert on your keyboard. And as you can see, all our settings are saved. And we are on FSR4.0.2. And we are upscaling from 720p to 1080. So that's the normal quality mode. And let's see how the game looks. Don't have any weird halos. The grass doesn't look pixelated. And we're getting better frames per second. And sometimes a little lower frames per second. But yeah, as you can see, we have no ghosting issues and no vegetation pixelation over here. And if we run over the grass, we still do not get that weird halo over the character. Let's check the strings out. They do not disappear and they're not that pixelated. So we are good on that front as well. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, they're still there. And they're not that pixelated. Okay. Let's also test the performance mode. We do have a bump in frames per second, as you can see. The strings do not completely disappear, but they're having a rough time. Everything else, though, looks pretty freaking good, guys. Like, look at this. There is obviously some weirdness because the game is trying to upscale from 540p, okay, to 1080p. So to begin with, it didn't have that much of information. So yeah, this is performance in FSR4 Int 8, guys. This looks kind of amazing for performance, if I'm being honest. The strings obviously don't look that amazing, but they're still there. They're not getting completely transparent. But anyway, as you can see, these are the results we are getting. Let's go back into the game and I'm gonna show you how I prefer to play the game. I usually either go ultra or natural, and then I just enable the frame generation. So let's exit out of this menu and you'll be able to see how the game runs now. And as you can see, we are running in DLAA, which is really native AA over here through FSR4. And this is how the game looks. So now we're enjoying where winds meet with far better, clearer visuals and amazing performance. The difference is night and day. I'll just leave these comparisons on screen for a bit so you can really appreciate the awesomeness of FSR4 Int 8 on these old now graphics cards. And that's how you unlock the true potential of where winds meet. Are you playing the game? What do you think of the visuals? Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and click on that bell to never miss another GeekJ video ever again. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.